Could you use your spiritual master's words to disobey him? Yeah, you could, because you didn't understand what he meant. And sometimes we find this, that someone gets an idea that this is what Prabhupada means by what he said, but it's not, and then they do something that he wouldn't want them to do in the name of his own teaching. That is weird. Well, I could say don't do that, but then how would you even know if you're doing it if you don't know? Sometimes we don't want to really 100% know what Prabhupada meant by something because we assume we know, and that assumption may just fit our own character, our own nature, or the way we want to see the world. So we wouldn't even imagine that Prabhupada could have meant anything else than what we think he meant. And so I see this all the time. Someone will quote Prabhupada and say something, and I'll think, that's not what he meant. So according to me, he meant something else. According to this devotee, he meant something else. Now, one of us may be wrong. We both may be right in some way. But I'm addressing this point that sometimes because of our worldview and our view of Krishna consciousness, we're only seeing it in one way. And therefore, this must be what Prabhupada means. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe we could be more detached. Maybe we could be more open to other possibilities. That's the kind of detachment that we don't talk about, we don't look at, because we look at detachment in other ways. But there is this detachment from my own ideas, my own conception, maybe more difficult than renouncing physical things. It's something to consider, and it's difficult because I sometimes won't even know. Sometimes we don't even know what our nature is. We're so much in our nature, we're always that way, we don't even know that we're seeing the world through this lens. But it's something to consider when we're trying to understand Prabhupada's instructions deeply, that maybe I'm looking at it through a very specific lens. And maybe that's not the lens through which Prabhupada was writing or speaking. Something to consider, and then as you're listening to this, you're probably thinking, yeah, this is why we argue, because we are seeing it with different lenses. And that is why we're forming, when you form stories around something, we argue over the stories. These narratives contextualize something, and often debate religiously is over narratives. This is the narrative upon which the philosophy grows. And as long as you have the narrative, the philosophy will be there, and then nobody budges. So sometimes we create narratives. And then philosophy grows out of the narrative, and it may not be good philosophy. It may not be correct philosophy. It may not even be philosophy at all. It may just be our own perception of so-called reality, of what we see as reality, which is just the way we see it, not necessarily the way it is.